founder of HBCU Gameday, Stephen J. Gaither. How you doing, Stephen? Welcome to the show, my friend.
I'm doing great. How about you, sir?
I'm doing well, man.
Good morning.
Look, we got so many things we want to give an opportunity to talk to you about. But real quick, before we get into that, tell people a little bit about HBCU Gameday and what it is, actually.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, first of all. My name is Stephen J. Gaither. I'm the founder. I started it 10 years ago, so we've been around for 10 years now. Started actually in the Triangle when I was living in Cary. A couple of years out of school at Winston-Salem State, I just decided I wanted to cover HBCUs in a way that I wasn't really seeing them being covered, which was, just making sure that we could cover, just more in-depth coverage of HBCUs on a daily basis. So that's been the goal since the foundation, and my partners and I have worked really hard to grow it. And with 10 years in, not only do we have the website, but also social media. We have multiple television shows, partnerships with news media organizations and things like that. So it's been a blessing just to start from the bottom to where we are, and really excited to be here, and really excited to be talking with you guys.
Outstanding. We'll jump right into it, but we've had the conversations time and time again on this show. We're going to continue to talk about it because this is a phenomenon. It's a movement. Talk about how has Deion Sanders changed the landscape of HBCUs as we know it today?
Oh man, it's just been amazing. It's been just over 2 years now. He got hired back in September of 2020, and it was something that kind of took us by shock at the beginning that it was happening, and then we kind of didn't know how it would go. But it's just been amazing. And he's had great success. He's 20-5. It's his record here at Jackson State. And, he just had a great impact. Everybody Deion Sanders, he's not the first HBCU coach to come from the NFL, right? I mean, there's plenty of them, even in North Carolina, Winston-Salem State, the head coach there is Robert Massey, who played in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's so many NFL guys that have coached and are coaching now at Alabama State, Eddie Robinson, so many guys like that. But there's only one Deion Sanders, right? I mean, if you think about who Deion Sanders is, or who he was as an athlete in the NFL. He was a one-of-a-kind guy there. And then even, if you look at guys who, he hasn't played football in 15, 16 years, but he's still, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find too many more former athletes in the NFL that haven't played in that long that are still as relevant as he is. I mean, you see him on, commercials, Subway and so many companies. He's on Dorito bags and all Madden stuff. Even again, it's been 20 years really since his prime and since he was really playing. So he's just come in and he's attacked this thing and really found, I think, found himself as a voice for HBCUs. Depending on who you ask, that's for better or worse, or how people feel about that. But at the end of the day, he has been able to come in. He's brought his sons in there, so he's invested not only his time but also his effort, his children, and his money as well at Jackson State to really make that program shine as best that it can. And it's been astronomical. I know for us, the number of eyes that are focused on not only Jackson State but also HBCUs as a whole and SWAC. Have just grown immensely just because of his presence. So it's a huge impact. I don't think we won't really know the impact really for probably a couple of years until after he's gone.
Right.
But it's been amazing for sure.
That's interesting. We're talking to Stephen Gaither, the founder of the HBCU Gameday. And by the way, Stephen, congratulations on you guys' success and your platform. I'm a really big fan of it. Being from Alabama and myself, I'm really happy that the HBCU landscape is really taking off. And you mentioned that we won't know till a couple of years from now the impact that Deion and the HBCU landscape is having right now. But that's my question. Can this trend continue and sustain itself? It's my question.
I think so. Obviously Deion Sanders, he's a transcendent figure, I would say, and he's a bit of a unicorn, a football unicorn, if I may use that phrase. But I think it's honestly bigger than him to a certain degree, because even before he got there, right, we had some signs that things were changing.
Yeah.
Howard University had signed the first 5-star basketball player, McCord Maker. He only played 2 games and it didn't last long, but he signed there. And I think this generation of young people, I mean, specifically young black people, they've grown up in the shadow of situations like Trayvon Martin and, and so many things, George Floyd and things like that. And I think, the things that are going on in this country are so visceral now, and people are no longer really hiding their hand about, certain incidents and certain things. Because of social media, you used to be able to hide. You can't really hide anymore. I think the young people are a little bit more cognizant of things that are going on in America, and a lot of them, are really, looking for something a sense of community and belonging. I went to a high school football game a couple weeks ago, last week, and they were having a senior night, and they had, they were announcing where the kids were going, and there were a couple people that were like. They were just like, they don't know where they're going, but they plan to attend an HBCU. And I don't know that I recall, I know, certainly 18 years ago when I graduated high school, I don't recall it being as pronounced.
Right. Nobody leaned into it the way they lean into it now. It's major.
Yeah. And so I think it's been amazing. I like to think, some of the work, on a smaller scale, some of the work that we've done, just taking advantage of social media, and being able to put out consistently, what HBCUs are, and allowing people to see what they have without even actually having to set foot on campus now. I think that gives the young people a bit more perspective. So I think his timing was just aligned with the timing of everything that was going on in the universe, and I think it's just made for a spectacle. And then this week we get college game day. The other game day is going to be there. Is going to be there in Jackson, as well as I'll be there. I'll be flying down tomorrow. So it's something that when I started 10 years ago, it was like this would be amazing if this happened, and it's actually happening. It only took the football unicorn of Deion Sanders and so many other things aligning for it to happen, but it's amazing that it's happening.
Wow.
Awesome. We're talking to Stephen Gaither, founder of the HBCU Gameday, a platform for in-depth coverage of HBCU. You talk about timing. So as we look into the future, what do you feel is the next phase of the HBCU space to be?
Well, I think, again, I think it's going to be keeping the momentum going. Deion Sanders is wildly popular. He's having a lot of success. His name is being put up in a lot of different Power 5 jobs. Now, whether or not folks are going to be willing and ready to pull the trigger, we don't know. But at some point, he's not going to be there anymore. We have, and I think we have some more. I think the other thing too. Again, when I started, the coverage of HBCUs is very limited television-wise. I mean, ESPN has the MEAC and the SWAC, but they were kind of on the back burner. We've seen them now create the Celebration Bowl, so that's there. There's still HBCUs. There's still a lot to be desired from their contract with ESPN, but we did see that Byron Allen started HBCU Go.
Yep.
I'm sorry, HBCU Go was already there. He bought
it, yes.
So, he's been able to take his money and his charm and his connections and really get some dollars behind having secondary games and things like that, which I think is very important. So that's, and not only, and you talk about the current students, there's not only a TV, linear TV, which a lot of them don't watch, but there are apps and things like that they can watch the games on for free and things like that. So I think that's amazing. And then I think, being able to continue to get donors, not only get more alumni support, but also get more donations and supporters from the community at large to build up the infrastructure for so many of our schools athletically, because they are, they're doing, we just have a tradition of doing a lot with a little, and that is amazing. And we've done so much with it, but just imagine if we didn't imagine how much more we could do with more. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I think that is the next frontier for HBCUs is to find that consistent level of support. I mean, even as great as Deion Sanders is doing and the connections that he has, again, he's having to spend his own money to help upgrade their facilities.
Sure.
And that's that's not what you want to have. That's not ideal, which is why people were talking about him going to the Power 5 level because eventually he talked about not only him wanting to the financial realities for him, but also for his assistants and things like that because they work hard and it's tough. The FCS assistant salary is a good salary for a lot of people, but when you're looking at it in terms of G5 assistants and Power 5 and even G5 assistants, it's still a ways to go in that profession. So there's a lot that's there. But our schools are doing so many of our schools are experiencing enrollment bumps, which is actually a good thing, even though college enrollment is going down. HBCUs are experiencing enrollment bumps, which is great.
Yeah.
But figuring out how, again, making that infrastructure, having that financial infrastructure that we can make the infrastructure to really make our campuses grow and really use sports again as a tool to make our campuses and our greater, which will make our communities greater as HBCUs, as pillars of the community.
Yeah. We're talking with Stephen Gaither, the founder of HBCU Gameday. And right before we get to the game of the week, we're coming up against it real quickly here. Yeah. Before we get to the game of the week, is there anything, because you've been doing this for over a decade, about a decade now, you said, is there anything about this recent movement, real quickly, that maybe you didn't expect or didn't see or maybe has surprised you?
I don't know. I guess at a certain point, you start doing this, you have high hopes. And you're like, one day this can happen and this can happen. And then the more that you get into it and the more you learn about the intricacies of why things haven't happened at a certain point, you're like, man, is this ever going to happen?
Yeah.
And then, so now when things do start happening, you're like, oh, wow. Like sometimes I actually look back and I'm like, man, 6, 7, 8 years ago, well, 5 years ago, I would have said, I don't know how this is going to happen. Hopefully that it would happen one day. So it's just been amazing, and it's also been amazing to see since Deion has come in, how many more people are paying attention to this space. So there are a lot of independent contributors, on social media platforms, on YouTube that everybody's trying to do a HBCU something now versus back when I started in 2012. There was really only the black newspapers. Shout out to the Triangle Tribune, Benita Best.
Yeah, no, Benita well.
Luke Williams, the Black College Sports page. There were really the local black publications that were dedicated to it. But again, a lot of them only come out on a weekly basis, and they didn't have necessarily a robust social media or even web presence. And then there's a couple of the daily papers, the Winston-Salem Journal, the Durham Herald Sun. There's a kind of been hit or miss, but we've actually got a partnership with McClatchy, who is the parent company of the Durham Herald
that's a
Sun.
good deal.
And so our stuff appears on their website. So it's but I think we've definitely seen mainstream media pick up on HBCU sports as a collective idea. I think back in 2012, it was really more of an abstract thing. And again, outside of those black media outlets that I mentioned, it was really an abstract thing, and I don't think it was it was really a concise thing on the web. And so I think one of the things I'll say that HBCU Gameday has been able to do, and we're kind of ahead of the curve, is seeing this as a national movement. And now everybody sees it, and everybody's trying to capitalize on it from a media aspect. Everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody's touching it. Some of it is just because of Deion, and some of it is even afterwards, a couple years later, ESPN started their own HBCU stuff, which is connected to what they do. For us, we've been able to, for me and my partners, we were believing in this when it wasn't making any money. We were just, happy to do the work enough to, we were doing the work enough to where if we could just afford to go and do the work and not have to and make sure we had gas to get back in our cars, we felt like, okay, there was still progress. So it's I think definitely just the amount of media coverage that is there and media interest is amazing, it's interesting for sure.
So you ever covered the Magic City Classic?
So I, as an individual, I have not, but my partner.
So y'all missing out, man. You missing out. I mean, hey. I played in that Classic.
My other partner is going. My other partner is going this week. I'm going to Jackson, but he's going to Magic City.
Okay, well, I ain't mad at you going to Jackson, but the real thing going down is in Birmingham, Alabama, Magic City Classic, where my Bulldogs going to take over, man. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, I know a lot of the coaches down there, Coach Maynard and those guys.
Cornell, yeah.
So I know them well. I think it's going to be a good game. Alabama A&M, they're a couple years removed from that SWAC championship.
Yep.
You guys had, they're having to go through some transition. They lost, their all-time leading passer, one of the all-time greats in the SWAC, Akil Glass.
Yep.
Anytime you lose a guy like that, it can be tough. It's tough to replace him.
Yeah, you're right.
So they've had some struggles, but they've come on in late, and then Alabama State, Mr. I Am SWAC, Eddie Robinson.
SWAC.
He's come in and turned those guys around.
Yeah.
And got those guys feeling like they can win. So I don't know. You guys have won. I think you guys have won like 4 in a row. I don't know.
We've been dominating, man. But I know Jackson is a hot place.
It might come to an end.
Yeah. But Jackson is a hot place. Everybody want to be there. That's K-Match spot, though. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I've been there. I went 3 times last year. I went to Prime's first game. I went to the SWAC championship that they had when you guys won.
Yep.
And then I went back again for the SWAC championship game in the fall. And that SWAC championship game in the fall was crazy because there was just so many people out there. And it was like an FBS game, except for majority of the folks out there were black. So
sounds good.
I'm really interested to see what's going to go on Saturday with College Game Day. Here it's going to rain, which will be a little bit of a bummer.
All right, Steve, we up against it real quick. I don't want you to get cut off, but man, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man. Thank you
so much,
brother.
And we'll see you on the other side, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Take care, man. Look, I can't wait to see you in Mobile. That's all I'm gonna say.
Let's do it, man.
That's all I'm gonna say.